English winners, I have a question for you. Verb plus gerund or verb plus infinitive? Which one is best? I enjoy to eat. I enjoy eating. Another one. He'll ask to borrow the pen. He'll ask to borrowing the pen. So for simplicity, a gerund is a verb with an ing ending, like driving or walking. And an infinitive has the word to followed by a simple form of verb, like to walk or to run. Now, which one do you use in a sentence? Often, I would just give people charts to memorize. And while charts are important, I've found now that there are rules that you can follow that make it easier for you to know whether or not it's an infinitive or a gerund that is best for the sentence you are using. This will help you a lot when you're writing because you have more time to think about it. But with practice, speaking it will come more naturally as well. Infinitive plus adjective. When you have an adjective, that verb is always going to be infinitive. For instance, an adjective is a word like quick or young or old. Let me give you some examples. It will be fun to ride my bicycle. Fun, adjective, ride, verb. It will be fun to ride my bicycle. It is exciting to learn the piano. Exciting, adjective, verb, learn. It is exciting, or it will be exciting to learn the piano. Next rule, for infinitives used after the main verb, memorize the most important verbs. I'll give you some examples of important verbs you can memorize, as well as a chart. The top 10 that I've found most commonly used are ask, choose, decide, get, need, plan, prefer, promise, say, want. An example is, I want to run a marathon. So, want is our verb, and then we have an infinitive after that main verb. Or, I promise to stay. I need to leave. Things like that. If the main verb has a noun or pronoun attached to it, you're going to use an infinitive verb after. I'll give you an example. Did you tell him to leave a message? Now here's how you don't do it using a gerund. Did you tell him to leaving a message? No. Did you tell him to leave a message? I want her to marry me. Wrong example using a gerund. I want her to marrying me. Or I want her marrying me. No. I want her to marry me. So I guess I'm still a little mean in that I make you use charts for memorizing some verbs, but keep in mind, you can use a gerund, you can use an infinitive, and either way, people will still understand you. So if all you want is to be understood, don't worry too much about it. However, if you want to be a translator, or if you wish to be fluent, knowing which one to use, infinitive or gerund, becomes important. So now I'll go into some rules for using gerunds in a sentence, okay? Let's begin. When an action is your subject, in other words, when the verb is the very first thing in the sentence, you're going to use a gerund. Like, reading is my favorite thing to do. If you use an infinitive, you'll sound like a robot or an English poet from hundreds of years ago. So the right way to say it is, reading is my favorite thing to do. The wrong way, to read is my favorite thing to do. All right, I'll give you one more example. Sleeping lowers your stress. Bad way to do it, to sleep lowers your stress. I don't want that. Sleeping lowers your stress. Next rule. Next rule, after a preposition, I want you to use a gerund. A preposition is a word that describes where something is in relation to other things, like on, around, near, things like that. I'll give you some example sentences. I spoke about canceling the event. Now, bad way, using infinitive, I spoke about to cancel the event. I don't want that. I spoke about canceling the event. Here's one more. You're planning on driving there in 1 day? Don't do this. You're planning on to drive there in 1 day? No. You're planning on driving there in 1 day? Yes. And last rule, there are some verbs that use a gerund after them. You need to be able to know which ones those are. You can do a chart. I'll provide a chart so you can pause it and look at those. But if you just focus on the 10 most commonly used verbs, or at least the ones I think are most commonly used, you will have a big head start, and you won't need to worry about making as many mistakes until you become fully fluent. I'll give you 10 most common verbs where you use a gerund, okay? Advice, avoid, dislike, enjoy, finish, keep, practice, quit, start, suggest. For instance, I would avoid listening to that doctor. You wouldn't say, I would avoid to listen to that doctor. You'd say, I would avoid listening to that doctor. If you finish practicing before noon, we'll leave early. Bad way, if you finish to practice before noon, we'll leave early. We don't want that. If you finish practicing before noon, we'll leave early. All right. And then, of course, you can't go wrong with two very common, likable verbs, like and love. You can do both of these, infinitive, gerund, whatever. I love swimming. I love to swim. I like boating. I like to boat. You see, you can use like and love with both of those. That's why they are so versatile. You can't go wrong liking or loving something. Now, this channel is not a grammar channel. However, I hear infinitives and gerunds being used incorrectly all the time, so I thought this video would help you on establishing some basic rules. I'll put up the charts again one more time. And from there, that's it for our video on rules for gerunds and rules for infinitives when you're speaking and writing English. If you liked this video, please hit subscribe and check out some of the other videos I have on this channel. Keep winning, English winners. I'll see you later.